Okay, let's look at picture styles really quickly here. So I've set up an image. Let's take a picture. This is on the standard setting. So you'll be able to see here the image as it comes up. Everything's looking good. Let's try some of our other picture styles and just see what we get. So we can choose these quickly with our picture styles button here. Move over to portrait, snap a picture. Landscape. What you'll notice is that these have particular applications. You're not going to see a ton of difference between portrait, landscape, and standard for this kind of setup because it doesn't, for instance, have a lot of strong greens that we'd see with the landscape. It doesn't have distant detail where that sharpness would come into play. We don't have skin tones. So there's neutral. And finally, let's move to faithful. And then to our monochrome setting. Okay, so let's do some looks in camera. We'll start by going to the menu. We'll select picture style. Run standard here. All of these can be modified. However, we're going to avoid modifying these since they can disrupt the shooting for somebody else later. If you get the camera using a particular look and want to set to the default, you can do so there. So we're going to use the user-defined settings. To change these, I'm going to use my info button. I'll start by selecting a picture style. For this one, let's create a high contrast desaturated look. And let's start this with neutral. Sharpness is already down. I'm going to raise my contrast all the way since it doesn't start out with very much. And decrease my saturation. Let's see what that gives us. So now that we've changed the parameters, we need to make sure that we're in our user-defined one mode. Select that. Let's take a picture. Alright, so that's a pretty nice desaturated image. I've got the contrast up. This isn't great for post-production. I may lose detail in the shadows and highlights, but I like my image there. Now I can also, of course, shoot motion pictures using this setting. In my picture style, I simply switch over to shooting video, and I start recording. Okay, let's try another look. I'm going to go back to my photographic mode, to my menu. Let's create one in number 2. Info to get in here. Alright, let's create a very saturated look. Now I definitely want to avoid increasing saturation and contrast. That'll make a really heavy image. But I can make something that's nice and soft with great color. Actually, let's start out with faithful. My sharpness is down. I'm going to decrease my contrast. Faithful also has some pretty good saturation. Not too punchy, but so I can raise it up here. Turn to my menu. I'm going to select that one. I'm ready to shoot. So there I've got a different image. Colors are nice. It's soft overall. Comparing with the desaturated one, quite a contrast. Finally, let's do a monochromatic image, some black and white. Return to my menu. I'm going to go to user-defined 3. Choose monochrome. Alright, for this one, now I've actually got a situation here in which I'll benefit from greater contrast. I have some colors here that are similar in their tone, and therefore, in order to really maximize my contrast, I've increased it here. I can also apply a filter if I'd like, although this works much better outdoors, so we'll save it for then. I have toning effects as well. We're going to leave this black and white. So there we have some nice contrast. And again, I can also do this in video mode.